Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Session. This week we bring in Kevin Rizer. How you doing?
Hey, doing good, Danny. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. For those who've been living under the rock that may not know who you are, which I'm sure 99.9% of my audience does, give us a little bit of background on yourself.
You're too kind, my friend. So I am the host of Private Label Movement podcast, previously Private Label podcast. And more importantly than that, I am a seller just like all of you. So I started selling on Amazon about 3.5 years ago, just part-time. And within about 6 months, I had replaced my 9-to-5 income and went all in, as the gamblers say. And so in that time, I've just become an e-commerce entrepreneur. And at the podcast, I love to do what you do, which is to network with and talk to other sellers and movers and shakers in our industry and just give as much content as I can.
Excellent. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about influencer traffic. Do you want to give a little bit of background? What is influencer traffic for those that don't know?
Yeah, so influencer traffic is really exciting, Danny. It's the ability to harness the leverage or the influence of someone else and use that to drive sales, drive reviews, drive traffic to listings, whether they be on Amazon or anywhere else. And influencer traffic has been around for hundreds of years, but in the e-commerce space, it's still fairly new. And it's a really powerful thing because it's very warm traffic, it's very inexpensive and sometimes free, and most importantly, because no one's doing it. In fact, I would say less than 2% of people that sell on Amazon are using the power of influencers, so it's a really low-hanging fruit.
Gotcha. And in terms of platforms, give some examples. Where would you find these influencers?
So anywhere that people congregate, you can find influencers. And that includes offline strategies. If you sell something for knitting, for example, I promise you there is some type of a knitting group or knitting club in your area that might have hundreds of ladies that get together once or twice a month and share knitting strategies and knitting designs and things like that. The leader of that group is an influencer. They have power, they have influence over the people that follow them. Most of the time when we talk about using influencer traffic, we want to look online because the numbers are so much bigger. And my favorite platform is YouTube. You know, video is such a powerful medium. I mean, right now we're on video and it's just one of the most powerful things. So YouTube is my favorite place. Instagram is also a great platform for influencers.
Excellent. And so how would you compare the two in terms of, obviously, Instagram is more image-led, shall we say?
Yes.
And so obviously with video, it's more dynamic. You can get more across. Give us some examples of, what could work, a type of campaign that could work on YouTube as opposed to, say, Instagram.
So a lot of that is demographic based, right? Anytime something requires an explanation or a how-to video or is more in-depth, I like to look at YouTube. So an example of that might be camping gear. Let's say you sell a portable tent that folds up and is really easy to hike with. That's something that really is best illustrated through a demonstration and actually showing the tent in use, showing how you put together the tent, showing how strong the seams are on the tent, something like that. So video is a much more powerful medium. Cosmetics or beauty are something that may not require as much illustration or is a much more kind of emotion evoked experience. So when someone sees the finished product of someone that has makeup applied in a certain way on an Instagram post, they may take action and without needing to see a video demonstration. So think about how complex the product is, how much demonstrating is involved, and the demographics, of who's on YouTube looking for how-to content or inspiration versus who's just browsing through in kind of an enjoyable fashion and killing time on Instagram.
Excellent. And so in terms of demographics, I mean, give me an example, what kind of people head to YouTube? Obviously, we've seen in some parts of YouTube, you've got the comment section, which is a little bit scary from time to time. But what's the kind of age groups, etc., are you seeing on YouTube in terms of the demographic information?
Yeah, the really incredible thing, Danny, is that tons of people are using YouTube. In fact, more and more people are searching on YouTube rather than Google. So they're looking for how-to information. They're looking for inspiration, things like that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't know the specific demographics. I tend to think of YouTube as being more of a younger audience, more of a male dominant audience, but I imagine it's pretty close. So,
yeah. And it's the second largest search engine. But obviously, it's owned by Google. But in the
Yes.
in terms of searches done per day, from my understanding, YouTube is the second largest search engine. And
it is.
So, if we were, let's say we've got our product, we know what our product's about, we've done our research, and now we want to choose a platform to market it on. What is the best way to, say, target and find these influencers on said platform? So let's use YouTube as an example. How would you start that discovery process to find the right influencer?
Yeah, so we want to start by finding people that have channels on YouTube that talk about things that are of interest to our target demographic. So start with your product, and we often talk about things like avatars and finding the ideal customer for your type of product. If that's, a female between the age of 25 and 55 who, is interested in beauty products, then you would want to find YouTube channels that talk about beauty and that appeal to that demographic. And it's really about just looking for people that are talking about those kinds of things. A few of the things that I look for is the size of the channel, meaning how many videos have they posted. Obviously, the more videos over the longer period of time means that that's a more mature channel. It's probably got a more engaged following and more exposure because of the number of videos that they have. Also want to look at the subscribers, but a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that you want to go after the largest number of subscribers, and that's not always the case. Oftentimes you can have really good results with influencer traffic and marketing with what we call micro influencers, which are people that have 10,000 or so followers as opposed to 500,000 or 1 million. But you just want to look for the channels that have content that's related to that demographic. Take a look at the quality of their post. Take a look at the engagement. How many times is each video being viewed? YouTube gives you all of that data. Take a look at the comments. Are people making comments and enjoying that? Is the host or the person that's putting out that content engaging with their audience and keeping them warm? And take a look and see if they talk about products. Are they all about strategy? Are they all about concept? Or have they featured products in the past? If they have, that means that they're probably more likely to be open to featuring yours.
Gotcha. And in terms of, well, just give me some ideas now, is that it's probably some of the good ideas would be for the approach to the videos, like an unboxing, so that you could use that content in multiple areas, like your own website and finding ways onto your own Amazon listing in some way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ideas or the ways that you can work with influencers, Danny, are really endless. And that's a great one, an unboxing of sorts. A video review is another one. There's all kinds of ways that you can get influencers involved and get their audiences involved, which is really what you want.
Yeah, so it's trying to work out how to get your maximum exposure from obviously dealing with the influencer and what other channels that content can go down. So how would you approach these guys on YouTube and stuff? Is it an informal approach or?
Yeah, great question. So you want to do a couple of things, and it is as simple as approaching them, right? As simple as striking up a conversation just as though you had come across them in real life, in person. What I like to do is first start out and make it about them, right? Everyone, I think, makes the mistake sometimes of talking about themselves right out of the gate, and that puts a lot of people off. So take a few minutes and look through their YouTube channel and find some videos that you really like. Find something that you thought was interesting or funny, and start off the conversation, which is usually via email with YouTube, by mentioning those things. Tell them how much you love their YouTube channel. In fact, in particular, I really liked this video. I thought this part of the video was really funny. I can tell you put a lot into the content that you produce. Next, introduce yourself. Tell them something interesting about you. If you are a woman entrepreneur, if you're a retired person, if you're someone that left corporate America so that you could start your dream of owning your own company, tell them something that sets you apart and makes you different. Tell them a little bit about your product and what makes it special or unique or fun or exciting. And then the ask, right? Tell them you would love to get their thoughts on your product. You think that they would have some interesting feedback and you'd love to have them share that with you. And instead of asking them if they're willing to do that. Just use what the old sales professionals will call the assumptive close, right? Assume that they will say yes to reviewing your product or to you sending them your product, and say, where can I send you a free product? And that assumes the close and makes it much more likely that they will respond and actually follow through.
Right. Okay. So then that was going to bring up my next question is, how do we negotiate with them? But ideally is that you start from the point of, are they into the product? Would they possibly review it in assuming it's, you get a free product, they'll give an honest review, to that maybe one of them might go, well, I can send you over my rate card for advertising. Here's what we do.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
So
and some of them are paid.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is that, but if you start from the process, you might get lucky is that some of them go, yeah, I'll do it, rather than offering to pay. There's a chance, there's a 50-50 there that you might actually get it for free if they're into the product. But obviously, what do you do with people in that situation? How do you, I know it sounds crazy, but how do you manage the situation? Like, there's one thing to get a free review, but you want it to be a good one. So it's like, the whole point of getting this is that you want it to be favourable, of course. Obviously, you can't control people's emotions, but how do you weigh that one up?
Yeah, so it's important to walk before you run, right? So rather than going for the home run this first time and saying, hey, will you review my product? And will you do it for free? And will you make sure it's a good review? And then will you share it with your millions of followers? We want to take bite-sized approaches to this, Danny. So first, it's just, where can I send you a free product to get you your thoughts? Mm-hmm. We don't really mention anything about leaving a review on Amazon or sharing it with their audience. I might throw in something like, I think you're going to love this new camping gear that we have, and you might even want to share it with your audience. I might throw in something like that, kind of subliminally. Once they've agreed, once they've responded and said, hey, Kevin, yeah, here's my address, I'd love to take a look, then I'm going to send it to them, right? And if at that point, if they haven't asked for money, then it's probably free if they end up doing it. Usually the people that are paid will come right out of the gate and say, well, I charge X amount for this. And then you just have to weigh your options and say, is the influence that I'm going to get from this worth the fee that they're proposing to charge? And I've spent as much as $500 on influencers before, but it has to be the right fit. There's a lot of people that will do it for free. There's a lot of people that will do it for a lot less than $500, because keep in mind, one of the things that they have, one of the needs that they have, is something that you can provide, which is new, fresh content that is relevant to their target market. As an influencer, Danny, that you have to come up with X amount of people every so often that are willing to come on seller sessions. I have to come up with people that are willing to come and talk on the podcast. Yeah. So I have a need for fresh content. These influencers have that same need. So turn it on its head and think of it as you're doing them a favor, you're helping them out, as opposed to just them helping you out. Yeah. And then, so once they reply with the address where you can send the stuff, the next tip I would have is to really go above and beyond. Rather than just having Amazon send them a free item, actually have a few on hand yourself that you can send, maybe with a handwritten note. If it's something that takes a little bit of explaining, then record a short video and post that and send it to them, thanking them for taking the time to take a look at your product, give them any tips on using the product, let them know you're here to help if they have any questions. Those little personal touches go a long way. Once they've gotten the product, they fall in love with it, that's when you have the discussion about how they might help you spread the word about your product.
Excellent. Okay, so now we've got to that stage. I was actually, for $500, I think that's quite cheap. In some cases, people spend more than that a day on PPC, some of the bigger sellers, don't they? So I thought that's quite cheap. I was expecting more, to be $2,000-3,000. Honestly, myself, I've never personally yet done an influencer campaign. I've not got round to doing that yet, so it's all news for me. That's why I like doing these interviews, because I get the front row seat of the of the show. Do you see what I mean? And hopefully ask the right questions. So we got to that point now. So what we're going to talk about now is getting the effectiveness of the campaign. So we've got the influencer on board. We've either agreed terms or got it for free. How do we make the most of that? What is the structure? They're going to review the product. It goes out to their audience. What happens next? Is there a link? Does it go back to Amazon? Is it a landing page? What do you suggest?
Yeah, really good questions, Danny. And this is where the rubber meets the road, and this is where setting it up properly will give you the maximum impact. The important thing to understand with influencers is you are in almost complete control over where you send them. So part of it will depend on what your needs are. Are you trying to launch a new product on Amazon? Maybe you want to send them to your Shopify store or to another marketplace. Maybe you want to send them to your own landing page and collect an email address before someone goes on to purchase, or offer them some type of a discount code. It really comes down to what your needs are and then what the influencer is willing to do. A couple of tips here. Number one, I love to get the influencer's audience involved. And rather than just say, hey, here's a link that you can post underneath your video that you feature our product, get their audience involved in some way. Offer them some additional free products that they can do as a giveaway to their audience. Offer them some type of special discount, something of that nature. The influencer may have some ideas as well. And the second tip is, if at all possible, send them to a traffic source that you control. So an example of that is I use ClickFunnels, and what we'll do with influencers is set up a simple landing page, and it'll have a picture or a logo or something from that influencer at the very top. That way, when their audience clicks through, it's something that they recognize, it feels natural and coherent. And then we will collect their data. We'll pixel them so we can retarget them on Facebook. We'll also collect their email address in exchange for some type of offer that's unique to that audience. Could be a one-time use coupon code, could be some other type of freebie that we're offering them. And that does a couple of things. One is it allows us to get other valuable information like the Facebook pixel and the contact email address before we offer them to go buy the product. And the second thing is that we now control where we send them, which means this month, because the great thing about influencers, particularly on YouTube, is these videos live for a long time. They're going to get the most bang for the buck in the first 90 days after that video is posted. But you've probably seen videos that have been on YouTube and have millions of views, and that video may be 2, 3, 4 years old. So don't assume that this is a short-term only promotion, which means that right now, if I want to send that traffic directly to Amazon to buy, I can do so. 6 months from now, I might want to send them to my own storefront. And when you send that traffic from the influencer to a source that you control, then you have the ability to do that.
Yeah. So it makes sense that you would send to a landing page, one, because you're collecting data, and two, obviously you've got to think about your sessions on Amazon. If they've got a big audience and it doesn't, that your campaign resonates, but not enough that every one of them or a big chunk of them are buying on Amazon, or may not even have Amazon account and click through, it's going to obviously affect your conversion rate in that period, isn't it, in terms of sessions? So yeah, makes sense to send them to the page, gather all that information. But it's interesting you said like the 90-day period. I was going to say to you, what do you do about re-engagement campaigns, and how do you stack campaigns? Because I would be under the impression that, like you said, you get the first 90 days. I imagine the first few days is the big whoosh effect, and then it starts to peel down. You get like a towel, don't you? But obviously, you've got to keep your landing page up for a long period of time, because that video is forever going. So it's evergreen in some cases, and you can carry on collecting data in the long tail over time. But let's just say that you want to stack these. So you want a consistent flow of, say, that top end of the tail volume. Does that make sense? How would you stack those campaigns back to back?
So our target is 2 influencer campaigns per month. And from those, if you do things like send them to a landing page or use some type of a link tracker like a bit.ly link, you get a sense for how well each one does. Now, a side note here, if you're sending traffic to Amazon, it's really hard to get specific data. How many sales is this particular influencer responsible for? You kind of have to suspend your need for those exact numbers to wade into these waters. But the gist of it is this: if I know that if I have a product that's selling 5 to 10 units on average per day, an influencer does something with their YouTube audience or their Instagram audience, and all of a sudden, within a few days, I'm selling 30 to 40 units a day, and nothing else changed, there's a pretty good indication that most of that additional sales is as a result of that influencer campaign without tracking any other numbers. So we do want to space these out a little bit, and that means not having multiple influencers starting to promote the same product at the same time. We try to do 2 a month is our target number. And then you'll get a sense for which ones are working, which ones aren't. You'll get a sense if you paid that influencer for whether it was worth that fee or not. And you can absolutely go back to the well, as I say, and work with those influencers in the future on either this same product with maybe a new spin or an update or a giveaway a few months down the line, or on another product. That's the great thing, is you want to build relationships with these influencers. And if you take care of them and you're providing something that's of value to them and their audience, then they'll be happy to feature your next product or one that you might come up with 6 months or a year from now.
Yeah, so in effect, I mean, the one side is that there's the research and stuff to be done. If someone wanted a tool to do this, you've got a tool that does a part of this process. It does, amongst other things. Do you want to give us an example there? Because it's obviously people can spend time in spreadsheets and measuring their influencers and trying to work out who they sent emails to, etc. But you've got a program that covers that.
Absolutely. So I'm thrilled to be a part owner of a software called Overgrowth. Yeah. And Overgrowth is a really powerful tool for Amazon sellers. It does a lot of neat stuff, Danny, including email, autoresponder, and follow-up keyword tracking. And one of the things it does that no other Amazon software does is it automates this process of influencer outreach. So you can simply go into Overgrowth, go into the influencer module and select YouTube, for example. You can put in some keywords for your product, and Overgrowth will go out and scour YouTube and show you the most relevant YouTube channels according to the parameters that you select. And then it will allow you to contact the owners of those YouTube channels right from within the platform. So you can create a template and send that out to the owners of the YouTube channels and wait for their reply. Again, you can do this without a tool, but as you said, sometimes the shortcut is the key. And if you can take something that normally would take 8 or 10 hours and turn it into something that takes 10 or 15 minutes, that's always a win in my book.
Yeah, most definitely. And so we're going back to like the influencers. In theory, like you said, you want to add 2 a month. So if you rotate those influencers, you probably look over the life cycle of a year, let's say, you might need 6 to 8 influencers that you can rotate over those periods to either use on new products or upgrades on the current products, yeah?
Exactly.
So where do people go for to get access to the product? Is it overgrowth.com?
Yep, overgrowth.com is where you'll go. You can sign up for a free trial, which means you can try out all of the amazing features without paying a dime, and I think you'll be impressed.
Excellent. And tell us a bit more about Private Label Movement. For those who are not subscribed, you're on iTunes, aren't you? How do they find you on iTunes in terms of search? Just your name or Private Label Movement?
Just search Private Label Movement. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, just about anywhere that podcasts can be found. You can also find us at privatelabelmovement.com and all of the social media channels.
Excellent. And the other thing is you've got I was lucky enough to come on to the last summit. So you've got the World Summit. What's the actual full name for the summit, and where can people go to sign up?
Yeah, we're really excited about a little over 3 weeks away, October 30th through November 1st. The second annual Private Label Movement Summit will have 25 presenters spread out over 3 days. We're going to stream the whole thing live from Dallas, Texas, and it's virtual, so you can join from anywhere. We'll stream it right to your home, your office, your mobile device. And probably, Danny, the most exciting thing this year is that tickets are free. Excellent. Last year, people paid hundreds of dollars to access the summit. This year, we really wanted to give back to the seller community and to great people like those that watch seller sessions. So you can go to plsummit.com and grab your free ticket, plsummit.com. And my friend, we're so excited to have you presenting as well.
Thank you. No, I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed last year. I think we done one on merch by Amazon, and then this year we're going to be doing some. I won't reveal it yet until you've released it to the public. But I'm looking forward to getting involved. Do you have anything else to add before we go?
No, just a big thank you to you and all of your fans. It's great to know you and just thank you for all of the great content that you put out. And I can't wait to see you soon.
Thank you, mate. No worries. Guys, again, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and obviously click on the bell underneath for updates. Kevin, again, thank you for your time. Take care.
Take care, Danny.